What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and what a monumental video this is. The Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge versus the iPhone 6s Plus. Like promised, I'm going to put these phones to the test, compare every factor everyone should consider when purchasing a new phone, how these compare, everything you need to know when choosing between one or the other. And I gotta say, Samsung's went and done something special this year. This is a phone tailored on the needs of their customers. Samsung listened, and this is the result. So I'm very curious to see how this compares to the mammoth iPhone 6s Plus from Apple's side. And I know it might be very hard to be objective on an Apple channel, but that's exactly what I'm gonna try and be. This is the true competitor of the 6s Plus, and that's what I'm gonna treat it as. So first impressions, picking up the Galaxy S7 Edge, the larger brother of the Samsung Galaxy S7, it's got a beautiful design. This thing is custom tailored to fit in the palm of your hand like no other phone. Samsung went and curved the edges even further on the back, so it actually sits nice and flush in your hand. The design is top notch. I absolutely love it. For the iPhone 6s Plus, it's a very wide phone. It's crazy how Samsung stuffed such a large display in a smaller phone, but overall, the 6s Plus wouldn't say it's very comfortable to use with one hand. It's got a curved edge, a grippy back, but still, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge just fits in the palm of your hand so much better. Using it with one hand is definitely more doable, and the Edge display makes that a little bit easier. Both phones do have 2.5D glass though, so that means it curves around the edges, and the S7 Edge actually has a use for it, of course. The iPhone 6s Plus just has it for looks. Now, I'm actually amazed how small the S7 Edge is. I mean, look at it in the shadow of the iPhone 6s Plus. Quite a small device for such a large display. Overall sizes of the phones, not too far off, but the 6s Plus is the larger of the two, of course, a little bit heavier as well. If you're going from one to the other, the button and placement of all the ports is very familiar, very similar, so the only big difference is the micro SD slot being relocated on the Edge. Overall though, very familiar and usable. So displays, this is one area that you're going to be interacting with the most, and it's important to have a good one. Both are great really, top of the line displays on phones. However, the AMOLED on the S7 Edge, oh my gosh, man, this thing is amazing. It's good on the 6s Plus, it is just amazing, fabulous, marvelous on the S7 Edge. Having an AMOLED panel has a lot of advantages. It's efficient, it's brighter, the colors are more vibrant, the dark colors are pure dark. Each pixel is individually lit instead of having a full backlight like the 6s Plus. That means you can turn off pixels and it's pure darkness on each one. And that's something you can really appreciate when watching media. And as far as unique screen technology, the Edge of course has that Edge display, made more useful this time around by having an actual usable app drawer. It's been opened up to developers, so you can now have a matter of things in here. News, really anything you want, a matter of different widgets. Of course, it's also useful as a bedside clock, as you can light up that individual strip on the Edge, and it's good to get a quick little overview. The always-on display feature is actually pretty neat as well. The iPhone 6s Plus has 3D touch, a thing you interact with by pushing into your display, and the amount of force you apply triggers different things. You have quick shortcuts on apps, you can quickly get into the app switcher, and there's the peek and pop feature, which allows you to get a quick preview of something before jumping into it, so it saves you a little bit of time here and there. And I think it's certainly debatable which one is more useful for you. Both are not necessary, but they're cool to have, so you pick on your own. Now, as for durability, these things go above and beyond what you could possibly ever need in your day-to-day usage, even without a case. Gorilla Glass 4 on the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge and dual ion exchange glass on the 6s Plus. Both are extremely tough. In my drop test, I put that to the test. Gotta say, unless you're planning on dropping one of these above 10 feet, you shouldn't have a problem. Both are extremely tough. And let's not forget one of the strong suits of the S7 Edge, IP68 water resistance, up to 30 minutes in 1.5 meters of water. That's something the iPhone cannot compete with, and something that should be considered when choosing between these. So let's take a look at what's powering these behemoths. Specs haven't ever been a very good indicator of performance, but an Apple A9 chip is inside the 6s Plus, 1.8 GHz dual core and 2 gigs of RAM. On the Galaxy S7 Edge, we've got the Snapdragon 820, which replaces the 810, which had the overheating issue. It's a quad core, two of the cores being 2.15 GHz and the other two being 1.6 GHz, 4 GB of RAM, and by the way, LPR DDR4 spec on both. We've got an Adreno 530 GPU and a built-in one on the iPhone 6s Plus. So these are the numbers, but how do they compare? Let's take a look. And I just want to let you know, this is the S7 Edge in America. Their international versions will have different CPU CPU and GPU options. Now I did clear out the entire app switcher on both, and we're going to go ahead and run a Geekbench. So these are the results we're looking at. Not too far off, and these are the true competitors. Usually we'd be comparing them a generation apart. These are the exact same generations. So the iPhone 6s Plus does a little bit worse in the multi-core. Of course, it's got weaker processors, but the single core does pretty dang good, and I was impressed with that. And I did rerun this test for accuracy. So how does this reflect in real world usage though? Let's take a look. So just a couple smaller tests, like something we're actually going to be doing in our life. Let's say Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Loading it on the iPhone 6s Plus, it was still a little bit faster, and when we're actually loading the game, it loaded a couple seconds faster than the S7 Edge despite the lower specs. So these are the areas that really matter, and the iPhone 6s Plus does good. Loading the camera even, it was available to take a photo earlier. So let's run a GFX benchmark and see graphical performance wise where we're at. The iPhone 6s Plus did finish the test a lot earlier. So the numbers here don't lie. In terms of GPU performance, the iPhone 6s Plus outperforms the Adreno 530 GPU in the S7 Edge. In overall frames and frames per second, it did a lot better. However, the S7 Edge has a few areas where it did better in as well. So this is close to a draw, but the iPhone 6s Plus does a little bit better here. Performing a Wi-Fi speed test from the same distance to the router yielded different results. The iPhone 6s Plus has the advantage of more LTE bands. The S7 Edge has a faster theoretical download speed over LTE. For the stock browser included in both devices, compatibility scores were a little bit off here, and performance in the actual browser, I was surprised to find that it was pretty much a draw. In one area, the S7 Edge did faster, in the other, the iPhone 6s Plus did faster, so both are good. The iPhone 6s Plus could certainly learn a thing or two from the S7 Edge. Much larger batteries included in the S7 Edge, wireless charging, and quick charge 3.0 support, getting you from 0 to 80% in just 35 minutes. Really, the iPhone 6s Plus loses here. S7 Edge wins hands down. Testing the fingerprint sensor speeds, the iPhone 6s Plus was actually faster here from a dark screen. If we had the screen lit up, the iPhone 6s Plus lost because it has a long drawn out animation. So as you can see, boom, the S7 Edge is in right away, but from a dark screen where we'll be using it most, the 6s Plus is faster. And to me, speaker quality means a lot, so I tested that on both devices. In terms of actual loudness, the Samsung Galaxy S7 is the louder of the two, clocking in at 100.2 decibels. When we tested the iPhone 6s Plus, it was a little bit quieter at 99.5. Loudness isn't everything, but the Galaxy S7 had a deeper, richer tone. It definitely had the better speaker of the two. And something I definitely thought I'd include, the Galaxy S7 Edge definitely runs a lot hotter, by 10 degrees in some cases. This is when it's under load, you're doing something like gaming, or in this case, I'm running the GFX benchmarks, but definitely this thing is a lot hotter and you will feel it in your hand. Next, cameras. It's very important to have a good camera on your smartphone. For many people, it replaces a DSLR or a shooter you may have carried around before. Both featured 12 megapixel sensors. It actually shrunk on the S7 from the S6 because Samsung wanted larger pixels for better low light performance. Now the actual numbers, very close here. The iPhone 6s Plus does better slow motion in 1080p. Otherwise, you're trading live photos for live panorama or super low light capability for a sapphire lens cover. A good point about the S7 Edge though is that the lens doesn't protrude as much, just a little bit less. So strap in boys, this is my camera comparison. It's a little bit long, but I wanted to include everything. First off, optical image stabilization for video. Both have it. The iPhone 6s Plus seems to do just a little bit better. I'd say maybe 20% less judder when walking around and moving the camera. It's a lot less noticeable. Otherwise, both are perfectly watchable and great quality at 1080p even. Next, autofocus. This is one area where Samsung really outshines the iPhone. The autofocus is so fast, it uses every pixel inside of the lens to focus. The iPhone just uses 5%, and you can definitely see, panning from a close to far subject, the focus is so much faster. Here is 4K quality. So the amount of detail is very good on both. The color is a little bit different. On the iPhone 6s Plus, it's a little more muted. On the S7 Edge, it's a little more vibrant. So in actual low light, the S7 Edge, I'd say, is a little bit better. Samsung said 30% better than the iPhone. I say maybe 15 to 20%. It's really not all that much better, but it is pretty dang good. And Samsung actually upgraded the slow motion capability of the S7 and now matches the iPhone 6s Plus at 240 frames per second in 720p. Both are good. The color, as you can see, is a little different on the S7. And here's the camera quality. So taking photos, you'd be hard pressed to find the differences unless you go into low light. There's less noise on the S7. Otherwise, both are fantastic cameras, really. So good job to both. The color vibrance is the one area the S7 Edge shines in. So otherwise, both are almost indistinguishable. Front-facing camera, Samsung actually copied Apple with the front flash, but it's no True Tone flash. It does a little bit better in resolution and the aperture is better. So you'd think it would do better in low light. It is also wide angle, so you can capture more in the image. And when actually filming, I was disappointed with the quality. It was dark. I don't know why that is, even though it has a larger aperture. So there are the cameras for you, both rear and front.
Adventure calls, my friend.
Now that's live photos, something that I've always liked about the iPhone 6s Plus, capture the moment a little bit more in detail. Now do something similar on the Galaxy S7 with motion panorama, something Samsung, I'd say a little bit copied or was inspired by Apple. Same with the front flash, something the iPhone 6s Plus had, now is available on the S7. So taking a quick glance at software, 9.3 current on the 6s Plus, 6.0.1 on the S7 Edge. The S7 Edge is more customizable, more software features. The 6s Plus is simple, easy to use, and on-time updates. Everyone has their own opinion, not going to go into which is better. And just a couple tidbits, these are the colors available for the S7, these for the 6s Plus. So we've got a little bit more choice on the 6s Plus. I want to warn you, the S7 Edge is a fingerprint magnet due to the highly reflective design. The 6s Plus seems to handle them a little bit better. So wrapping this up, the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge starts at around $800, give or take about $40 to $50 depending on your carrier. Now legend has it there's a 64GB option floating around, but I wasn't able to find any at this time. Now these are estimated prices for contract because depending on which carrier you have, they'll all be different. Now believe me, I'd love to tell you which phone is better, which one is for you, but in the end we all choose phones for different reasons. Take a look at this list quickly summarized of all of the strengths of the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. I get a lot of flack for giving a good word towards Samsung. People seem to think that I prefer them, but really in the end it's not about which phone I prefer, it's about which phone better suits your needs. And fact is fact, if a phone does something better than the other, I'm not going to be afraid to say which one does it better. The iPhone 6s Plus certainly has a lot of things that the Galaxy S7 Edge cannot do, or things it does slightly better. And just looking at this list, take a look at it and decide for yourself, out of all of these strengths, which one better suits your life and your needs when shopping around for a smartphone. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I just want to let you know this is no easy choice to make choosing between these phones. So hopefully with this video, I could have made that just a little bit easier. As a thank you, I would really appreciate if you guys could drop me a like, maybe even subscribe for more content. This was no easy video to make. Both phones are great. I love both. Both need to keep innovating, and that's what's most important. Whatever choice you make, you can't go wrong with either one. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy your choice. Peace.